Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, well, it's Monday, start of a new week, which hopefully will be a lot better than last week. Yesterday, Sunday, I just didn't do anything. Just lounged about, read, listened to music, drank tea, stuff like that. So we'll see what's going to happen this week. So the first thing I've got to do is, because I was annoyed and in a bad mood, apologise to Electrics World, because yesterday I sort of looked at my emails and all the rest of it and I ordered the wrong unit. It was a little bit confusing trying to find the one that had the lighting coils in, but anyway, my fault, sorry. So, not much has happened obviously. Got a little box and it had a nice new filler cap in it for that, and a throttle cable. There's some other stuff coming. I also got a light switch. I know it's a bit far away for you to see, but it's one of these multi ones. It's got the horn, it's got the indicators, and it's got the headlight. And actually it's got a little LED in the top that comes on when you're on high beam. There's only one thing I don't like with these, and I couldn't find one that just had high-low. They all have high, low and off on this switch. Here's the heating coming on. Oh, by the way, we're going to have 2 days of incredibly cold weather. The thing I don't like is it's a rocker switch. So you've got, when it's down there, on. So let's think, it's off, low beam, high beam, which means if you're in high beam and you push your thumb over and you're a bit heavy-handed, you can go right through from high beam to no beam. So I'm going to try and find a way, because we're going to have a light switch on the sort of panel with the speedo. I'm going to see if I can find some way so that it won't go that last click. I don't know, maybe glue a little something on there just to stop, or see what I can find out the inside, or see with the wiring. I've got all those wires. If there's some way, because it comes with the this is the female, it comes with the male connector with just sort of pigtails on. I'll see if I can find a way to cross connect it so that I do away with just the on-off part and just have high and low beam. So anyway, that's something we can put on today. So because the tube hasn't come yet, some other stuff I ordered came, but the tube must be coming from a different depot. Can't finish the front mudguard. So what we are going to do is we're going to look at that rear brake, because I had a thought on that. If you cast your minds back, I mentioned a problem with the length of the brake lever and stuff. I've had a thought about that. So let me show you my thought. Right, well, we know we're going to put this here somehow. We know to keep everything right with the footrests and all the rest of it, we're going to use this brake lever. Now, when we were talking about it, I mentioned that just simply the length of this brake lever is going to mean that when we put our little arm on there, simply the weight of it is going to be pushing that up a little bit. Alright? And of course, disc brakes you don't need masses of pressure like you do with a cable brake. So it would probably, with this in here, just be putting, or possibly should we say, it might cause the brake to drag a little bit because it might have a bit of pressure on it. So I mentioned that we'd have to think of maybe some form of spring just to take up that weight. Well, the other thing, of course, and I did have one mention of it in a comment, is this thing is about 12 inches long. And this is only going to stick out here, well, let's say at the most 2 inches. So this basically is a lever. That's the fulcrum. So if we apply a pound of foot pressure here, we're going to get 6 pounds of pressure there, right? Because it's going to be 1 pound times 12 inches divided by 2 inches. So that's going to be 6 pounds going up. So I'm thinking, okay, that's a problem, you know. You don't need to stamp your foot on there much to lock this back wheel up, and maybe that's not so bad when you've got a trials bike or an off-road bike, but this is probably going to be used I would imagine more on the road than anything else. So we need some way to alleviate that pressure differential. So I got thinking to myself, okay, how are we going to do this? And I was thinking of all sorts of things, and then suddenly I thought, wait a minute, what if here we have an spring, right? Now if that spring was a 5-pound spring, okay, when you put your pound on here and get your 6 pound here, 5 pound of it would be used in compressing this spring, and only the 1 pound would go on there. So you would get an exact correlation between the pedal at your foot and the pedal back here. This actually is a valve spring, an inner one. It's about the exact right thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to make another one of these. I don't want to use this one because it goes with the brake lever I've got, and I have a use for that on a later project. So we're going to make one of these. This part, oh get up, which is already adjustable. You see, you can adjust it for length and then have this lock nut. We're going to have it threaded up here as well, right? So there's going to be a plate for that to sit on and a suitable nut to adjust the pressure on it. So we know that's going to be longer because it's got to reach all the way up there. So that'll be on there like that, and when the plate pushes up, it's going to squish that. And actually I was looking to see if I could find a spec for it. Actually it does give you it somewhere, doesn't it? Because it might just be that it will give me the length, the free length, and that if it's any less than that. But very often in the manuals, I've got to look. They'll give you a poundage for you know, to have one of those little machines with a lever and a readout to make sure the spring's still working all right. It hasn't fatigued. So that's what we're going to do with that. And as it happens, that just fits nicely on there. So when we make this bracket, it's going to have a piece that will come down for that to be inside, so that it doesn't boing off or anything like that, and it'll keep it out of the elements and stop things getting caught in it. And I think that will work fine. It'll have the dual purpose. It'll not only take up that extra foot pressure, but also of course it'll mean that this lever isn't constantly pressing on that, because as soon as you take your foot off, when the spring goes back to its normal length, it'll push the lever down. I was thinking what I also might do is, hang on a second. There you go. This has a little stop there for that. I was actually thinking I might make another one underneath, so you couldn't really stamp on this and press it down and maybe bend things, right? So that there's just enough movement there for the movement here. Don't know, but certainly the spring part will work. Right, so let's look into, I think we'll make one of these first, because I'll make this part, that part is separate, so we can decide how long we need to make it. So we'll weld the piece on here, we'll make this doodad, we'll decide where that's going to go, and then we'll know how long a rod to make. Alright, let's get stuck into that. Right, so this is what we're going to make. One of these. So this is all metric-y, but basically it's a 1/2 inch square, looking at it that way, and this bit here is a 1/2 inch long that's threaded, and that actually is 6mm, so we're going to do it 1/4 inch. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of 3/4, this is cold rolled steel, I'm not sure what grade it is, 3/4, right? Then we're going to put that into here, so we can put it in the mill, and then we can flat, 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 do those 4 flat sides. Then we can stand it up and go through there. This is probably, that's a 1/4 inch. So we might as well make the easiest way, use a 1/4 inch mill, I suppose. There's the bit off the brake pedal. I think this is a bit more than 1/4 inch. It is, fractionally more. I mean, that is 1/4 inch. So, yeah, that's just paint and rust. So we'll file that a little bit. That would fit in there. So we're going to make it, so then we're going to slot that 1/4 inch. This piece, actually I think what I'll do is, rather than using a 3/4 inch collet, I'm going to turn this down to 1/2 inch. Because right, that's 400. So we'll make it a little bit bigger. Well, they're only going to be a 1/2 inch across. So we'll turn it down to that. There's plenty of space there. So we'll turn it down to, see, if I turn it down to that, then I can't fit it into a collet. What's 3/8? To 375. Suppose we could make it 1/2 inch. It doesn't really have to be like that. See, the only trouble is, once I've got this part done, I can't put it in the lathe to turn that down. Actually, if I've got it drilled and threaded, I could put a bolt in and put the bolt in the lathe and do it. So we'll leave this at 3/4, then we'll do this milling. So let me do that. So I changed my mind again and turned it down to the 1/2 inch, put it in a 1/2 inch collet, and I've drilled it for the tapping size just to make it easier. So we'll go and put it in the mill and do the 4 sides. So this is actually a little bit more than 3/4. It's 768. So we'll work out what we need to take off that to get 4 flat sides. The reason I'm not doing it all like that, in case you were wondering, standing up, is it's just easier to do that. You know, rather than having a tall end mill going like that, I can just zoom across. Alright, let me put it in the mill. Right, so there we are set up. We'll touch it off, and then I'm going to raise the knee up. I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off, 125, so it'll be slightly bigger than 1/2 inch. We'll see if that makes it square. Alright, let's touch off first. There's that. Set the knee to 0. I'm using the knee because I don't have the wheel to wind the quill down, just the ordinary arm, and it's difficult to be accurate with it. So we will take off. Let's try it. 50 pounds. 25. Now we'll turn this round. Take this back. To the first 50 thou cut. And there you see we're starting to square it off. So let me do the other sides and then we'll set it up to go through the middle, which will be easy to do now because I've got that hole in it. Now it's set up vertically, 1/4 inch end mill. We'll cut our slot. To move you a little bit, I'm catching you on the handle for the knee. Going to keep on going through like that, so I'll bring you back. So there it is, squared off and the slot put in it. So we're going to need a hole through there and we're going to put this in the lathe and tidy it up round the edges and what have you. So I think we'll put the hole in next because it'll be easier to grip it. So there we've got a hole through it. So that will go on there. That will go in there. And there's our doodad. Alright, so let me put it in the lathe now and we'll round that off a little bit. And there's the finished article. It's threaded, 1/4 inch fine, dressed up a little bit. I'll dress it a little bit more, get the curves all moving together, but I think that'll do. Alright, well, next thing I think is we'll weld this onto the brake pedal. Next stage, done this and tacked that lever on. I think I'm in a good spot there. I have actually tacked it once and cut it off because it was, as it was moving, it was pushing too much that way. I had it a little bit straighter and I found it, I wanted to push up. So, right, so that, excuse me, oh, pardon me, so that is going to go, another 3-hand job, so that is going to go like that. That'll be nice. So I reckon we want that. Hang on, let me fasten this brake pedal up. Right, that's won't keep falling down now. So what that is, we want that to be about there, like that. Oh, we need to have enough space to put that in, don't we? I think the next thing we'll do is make the fitting for this. I think we'll make it so I can screw it on that. What I'm thinking of doing for mounting this, you know, I kept looking for a bottom mounting. I was thinking, you know, it's not as if this is really being pulled about. The pressure on this is going upwards. So I think what I'm going to do is make a sort of triangular plate, so that it has 2 mountings up here, and I think that will make it, I'm going to make it out of 3/16 alloy, and then that will give me nicely this to make the mountings on, and that will just be fine. Yep, there's space for that to be moved around. Don't think that will be in the way. We'll push that round the other way so it can go up there. Point that the other way. Yes, so let's make a doodad to go on there for this to seat on, that will screw. So what I might do is make it just with a nut, the equivalent of a nut and a big washer. So I'll make the piece for this, and then we'll weld a nut on the bottom, and that will give us something to be the adjuster. Okay. Right, there's our little piece. I decided to thread it. I might put a couple of flats on this just to be able to hold it, but anyway, that's that. So that is going to go in there like that. I say it's just like a valve thing. Then I found a longer bolt. that in there. This one now is probably too long. That'll go on there like that, so it's all adjustable. And that, see, that needs to go, doesn't need to stick out that much. That will go on there like that. Voila! We'll make a piece for this top that'll hold it. And then, as I say, when I make the cover, which way am I going to have that? That way or that way? So when I make the mounting, I'm going to have it with an extra piece to come down. Or I could try and find a rubber boot. If they make a rubber boot, might be better, might look better. So that, I think, is going to work. Okay, so the next thing to do is to make ourselves a mounting, so it's just like that. Which way was I going to put this on? Like that? Or like that? That's obviously the way it was on, because that's where somebody's boots rubbed on it. You know, it's so annoying. If I could get a 90-degree, see, I've seen 90 degrees, but they go that way, the way this goes 35. What I want is 90-degree going that way, so it would just peek over the top of there. I mean, I could make one, I could cut that and put a piece in. That would really make it very... Let's just put this on here. Oh, actually, that's not bad, is it? The way that points. Well, no, because we've got the side cover that goes on to there. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm sure we can work something out with the hose and a banjo. I think it's more important to get that mounted and that everything pointed the right way so it all works. Don't you? I do. Okay, so let me get a bit of cardboard and we'll make a template. I cut the head off that bolt. Actually, I cut it a little short and rounded the end. Hang on a second. There you go. And that's about fitted on. Everything's right. Just suddenly struck me, if I put it that way, God, that'll be 2 salt trucks. 2 salt trucks. If I put it like that, look, I can just make a plate that bolts on there. Bump, bump, like that. Just a straight piece. Bolt it there, bolt it about there, come down. That'll be perfect. That'll be fucking perfect. Do you know that? Oh, any trouble with that? Oh, hang on, this is a straight one. Made in China. Got to look at it a bit more. Anyway, I'm going to go and have something to eat. With this being such a simple shape, I didn't bother making a template. I just cut a piece of alloy. So I've cut this and just drilled it already for that. There's 6mm 1.0, so there we go. Hang on, let me get an Allen key. Okay. The bit of tape is there just so that when I use the transfer punch I can see where it is easier than an old piece of black paint. Right, so there I've just shaped the bottom a little bit, and just in case you're worried, we've got plenty of room there, look for that. I maybe could have made it wider, but it's fine like that. So that is going to go on there. Like that. Go about like that. Oh, you just made that. Is that alright? Probably wants to be about like that. Only just caught it. Whoa! Oh, I'm wandering off and leaving you there. Hang on. There we go. Okay. I wandered off there to get the drill and forgot I was still recording. I suppose I could have edited it out, but anyway, where am I? So I've got the hole there. As I say, it's a little bit close, but it'll be fine. What am I doing now? Put my spring back on there. That on there. And we put that. Come on. The hell is this? I just... There, look. That's fine. Let me go and see to that. Well, that was weird. You drill two holes with the same drill and bolt will go through one and not through the other. Alright. Right. So that's there like that. So now we need, I'm going to make the first spacer so I can bolt this up tight, and then we can mark that and do it much more easily. That's an inch there and an inch there. Good. Alright, let me go and make a 1-inch spacer. I made 2 spacers. I thought it would be easier than for doing the marking with the transfer punch. So, let's see. There's one. Look at that, doesn't want to come out the other end. Oh, I see what it is. They are too big. Don't have enough space. Okay, let me go and take a little piece off. Alright, we'll try again. Cut a little piece off. That now sits there. Goes in there. That goes in there. tighten up there like that. I'll put that one in there. Okay, I've got to get a 7/16 roll on. It's just a little bit tighter than I could hold. My father, I don't know if I've told you this before, spent about 40 odd years in the steelworks as a tackleman, and a thing like this, he could just reach behind and get hold of that nut and hold it while I tightened the other end up with a spanner. He could really shake hands with you, could my dad. Right, we'll do a nice little piece there with that. That's on. So, you don't want to hit too hard with those. There we go, there's our mark, a proper pop mark. I think I've mentioned before, I hate these bloody sealers stuff. Right, that go back in there like that. Hang on, let me find another bolt. There it is, bolted on. Unfasten that. I think that's pretty good. That feels, you can see it's taking it right off, taking the pressure off. And that's a fair amount of brake pedal. Excellent. Right, let me just draw a nice little thing here to match that. I'll bring you back. I made a little template of that curve and did it the same at the top, but this bit looks silly, so I'll just have to curve that round, making it one complete curve. There we go. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. I thought that was going to be a lot harder to do and look a lot stranger. Still have to sort out exactly how we're going to put this on. See, if I could get one that was right angled there, look, it would be bloody perfect. Just come up and go over. Anyway. Alright, that's enough for today. Good morning. Well, the first thing I decided when I came out this morning was I didn't like the way I had that mounted. And I was looking at it and I suddenly struck me, wait a minute, I've got enough room on the back for the bolt heads. I can mount this plate on the inside instead of the outside. So I rounded the top off, made it all look nice. And I think it's much better like that than having this big plate, because it was right out here, looked up. So I prefer that. As soon as your foot's here and your leg's going up there, it's well out the way you boot. So I did that. I haven't got a piece of rubber tube in the right size. This is actually a bit that I just found laid about. But I think a piece of rubber tubing on there, like that, you know, slightly longer, will just protect that really nicely, and it won't get in the way. In fact, it holds the spring into that. Alright, so that's much better. Okay, now then, We forgot two things yesterday. Well, I forgot them. You should have noticed one. Well, you should have noticed both of them, I suppose. One was I forgot about this. Okay, so what we've got to do, it goes on fine. It's not a problem. It's not if I suddenly thought, oh shoot, that won't go on. So that goes on like that. So we're going to make a little bracket in there somewhere, or up here somewhere. Maybe up there will be better, because here I'm going to have the air filter, however we rig that. So can you see? No, but you can't see any of this that I'm telling. Oh yes, you can, more or less. Hang on. There you go. That's better. What I was going to say is, I won't put that up there because I might get myself into trouble when I come to put the air filter on. So we'll put it maybe just in there like that. Check to see that it doesn't get in the way of the side panel, right? So we've got that to do. The other thing is, this was pointed the other way because of that, but I think we're going to be alright. Now I look at it, I think when that's screwed in there, it's a bit warmer today. In fact, the long range forecast is warmer. I guess spring is coming. That look will go up, actually will go inside and up there. Not perfect, but, and I also found that the people that, well, I did some research and discovered that these things come in different sizes. I think they're A and then a number. So these obviously are two different sizes, because this one, as you saw before, screws in there, but that one, like, oh, come on, it's early in the morning, see, it's too small, doesn't go in. But the place I get these, although they don't do a 90-degree one like that, yeah, all their 90-degree ones come out this way, which really is not that much good, but they do a, I think it's a 15-degree one that way. So 15 degrees that way probably point me into there. So I'm going to get one, but of course it means this hose won't fit, so I'll have to buy the piece of hose that goes with these fittings. Alright, so first thing then is, well, the only thing we can do is we'll put that up there somewhere. So I'll put the side panel on. I bought a couple of new Audi fasteners, and it goes in here almost up to the mudguard, so I can't put the reservoir up there. But what I can do is, because this comes out so much, I can put the reservoir in here without it being sort of where the air filter is going to be. I can put it sort of round right into this, because there's nothing going to go in there. So that's what we'll do. So let me take this back off. I got on the inside while that cover was still on, and I've marked it here. So it's going to go there like that. So that will go in. But as I say, it can actually be outwards a bit because of the cover. So I can put it like that, and that gives me lots of space in there. So let me sand this off here to bring the welder back over, and we'll fasten a bracket on there. So there's our bracket on for that. I'm going to bronze it on the back side, and that Oh, you can't see. There's lots of space there. So that all nicely goes in. Tell you what, when I get that bend, that's going to point under there perfectly. So I'm going to order a bend, and because the hose I had for here is a metric fitting. These are Goodrich, so they're imperial. The fittings on the other hose are 10mm 1.0 thread, and this is 3/8 24. So it's not something I can match up. Alright, so that's that on that one. I've got to find a bit of rubber tubing for that, finish welding that, and get that hose, and that's all done. So I glued a little bit of black plastic on there. Of course it slipped slightly as the glue was setting, but now it'll only go in the 2 positions, so I'm happy with that. I also got the 1/2" tube, so I made the rear mudguard stay, so that's all on. What else? I just spent some time and sanded off, cleaned off the mudguards, the tank and the one metal side panel. Of course I found filler on that tank, some of which, excuse me, I'll have to slightly redo because I could see it was all this thick paint. This tank and the side panel were originally red as I got the yellow paint off them, but I was using a pretty aggressive wire wheel to get it off, and of course I didn't know that was there because I'd done the other side and there's none on the other side, so it dug in. So I'll have to put a little bit of filler there. There's one very small dent up here, but other than that, a couple of dents in this I was able to planish out. I'm just looking at this. Yeah, I think they'll be alright, because I have got, there's a rubber that goes inside this Audi fastening so that doesn't wobble, and I think when that's on with these rubber grommet things in here, that'll be fine. You can see that all fits there. Alright, so we're looking pretty good. Actually, let me show you something around the back. There are 7 bolts hold the rear mudguard on. One right at the front, and then 3 sets 2. And look at that. That doesn't line up, so I'm going to have to finesse. Funnily enough, hang on. The holes in these mountings and on the frame are 1/4 inch. The holes in the mudguard are 5/16. There should be some little rubbers in there, but even so, that's just miles out. That's not going to line up, so I'm going to have to, doesn't seem to be bent or anything, but anyway, I'll have to work on that. So, doesn't it look different when we don't have orange mudguards, yellow petrol tank, black frame? Just making it sort of bare metal, so silvery and black. Oh, just trying to bolt on the floor. I think it makes it look a lot better. It's starting to look something like now. So as I say, I'll have to check that back mudguard, see about that. But other than that, let me think. I have ordered all the bits to finish off that. I have ordered a rear tail light, which I think will work okay. It was cheap enough. It's actually, as I say, that I filled all these holes in. The one that should go on here is this horrible pressed tin thing. It comes from right up here, one hole there, long thing there with a light on, and then the number plate down here. So I thought of getting the later. Can you see any of this? Yes. I'm forgetting how wide an angle this is here. Yeah. I was thinking of getting one of the ones from the later Triumph Twins that had the little cutout, but actually I don't think it would have worked. And then as I was scrolling through eBay and what have you, I came across the one that's for, I think it was the CT70 Honda, the sort of, you know, the off-road moped-y type thing, which I think they've just reintroduced. And that sort of stands up proud with a light on. I think it'll look okay. If not, we'll put it on something else and we'll find something for this. I've also ordered indicators with the flexi stalk ones, and I'm going to mount the back ones on here. Now that isn't going to be big enough for it, so I'll have to make it bigger here. But rather than try and sort of attach it to that, I think what I'm going to do is cut that out and then make a bigger piece. And also, instead of it just being flat like that, I'm going to fold it round here a bit so that the wires and that are out of sight. I think that'll look much better. Okay, that's it for this week. So until next week, you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.